Tigard City Council and Local Contract Review Board to order. Deputy City Recorder Raimundo, please call roll.
Councilor Wolf.
Here.
Council President Hu.
Here.
Mayor Lube.
Here.
Youth Councilor Mainini.
Here.
Councilor Shaw.
Here.
Councilor Schlack.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If you will please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. City Council or teammates, any non-agenda items this evening?
None from us, Mayor.
Okay. We will move on to the very exciting moment on our agenda to administer the oath of office to Councilor Jake Schlack. And I would like to welcome up Judge Oberdorfer. When all of us received our oaths, we were able to speak for a few moments afterwards, and so I wanted to provide Councilor Schlack the opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all my friends and family who came here today. As I told you all, it's not every day that you get to go to a swearing-in ceremony, so thank you for braving the heat. I'd also like to thank the Mayor and Council for the opportunity to serve the residents of Tigard. I've been on the Budget Committee for the last 2 years, and I've worked alongside the Council, and I'm excited to work alongside them in this new role and continue to ensure that Tigard is a great place to live and work. Thank you, everyone.
The next item on our agenda, we have 2 proclamations today. And so I would invite Recreation Coordinator Leaf to come on up and receive the proclamation for July as Parks and Recreation Month. Come on up. Would you like to say a few words? Yeah, come on, have a seat.
Good evening. I'm honored to be here to thank you for proclaiming July as Parks and Recreation Month. This recognition is a testament to the vital role that Parks and Recreation play in enhancing the quality of life in our community. First, I want to thank Mayor Lube and the City Council for their support and for this proclamation. Your acknowledgement of our work in fostering a healthy and active community means a lot to us. A special thanks also to our Parks and Rec teammates. Your dedication to providing excellent programs and maintaining beautiful parks is truly commendable. I also want to thank our community members and volunteers. Your involvement and enthusiasm make our community vibrant and strong. This July, we have a fantastic lineup of events to celebrate Parks and Rec Month. We're hosting our annual pop-ups in the park, movies in the park, and trivia in the park, along with our weekly summer camps. I'm also excited to announce our new Music in the Plaza series every Thursday at Universal Plaza. Additional details for all these events can be found on our website or our Public Works social media page. This is also a great platform to see all the fun we're having this summer. Thank you, and let's continue to celebrate the joys and benefits of Parks and Rec, not just this month, but all year long. And I look forward to seeing you at our upcoming events.
Thank you. No, it's an awesome opportunity because I think, especially when we talk about Summer in Tigard and the engagement with the community, it's always with our Park and Recs events or, and so it's a wonderful way to highlight it and remind the community of all the wonderful things that y'all do. So I have this for you. It's it's uncommon to have our own photographer here for the whole thing, so it's really kind of fun. Thanks, Diego. Councilor Shaw.
I just want to give a shout out to the Parks and Rec staff. They work so hard all year long to make sure that our parks are wonderful places to go, to visit, to participate in activities, and I get to be the liaison for the council, and I couldn't be more humbled to be a part of that group that meets monthly, but also just thank you so much to the staff and all the work that you do. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. Our second proclamation is for Sarcoma Awareness Month for July 2024. Sarcoma cancers are rare and often aggressive cancers that grow in the bones, muscles, and soft tissues of the body. And it's just really important to highlight that the awareness and make sure that everyone is getting their checkups to be healthy and happy and all of those things. So if you want to read more about it, it's available on the website and it'll be put up in City Hall as well. The next item on our agenda is public comment. If you'd like to comment, please call in now or log in by video to get into the queue. The phone number is 503-966-4101. There were no written in-person or call-in video comments for the June 25th meeting. So the next item is our Chamber Board of Directors Chair, Tom Engel, with the Tigard Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Tom.
Well, thank you. And hello, everybody. Before I get started, since we're talking about the parks, folks, I did not happen to be in town during the 4th of July event, and I remember being with friends, and I showed them what was on the Facebook post, going, "Look at this! This is just amazing!" And that is just such great work. Thank you so much, City Council, for making that possible, and the park staff. That just looked amazing. So. Thank you. Some updates for you that I'm going to highlight. We held our annual meeting sponsored by Fit Alliance, and we have 2 new board members joining us, Whitney Bautista from Pinnacle Wellness Center and Georgia Fields from United Community Credit Union. And as our new board members, please check out our social media posts announcing them and share with them just a very nice warm welcome and welcome to the Tigard community. Recruitment for Leadership Tigard 225 has started. We have new pamphlet information available in print and online. And if you know of anyone who's interested in joining that class, please reach out to Megan or register via our website under Leadership Tigard to secure your spot before they are claimed. These do tend to fill up quickly. In terms of our education advocacy and building a strong local economy, we are going to open up our candidate endorsement process later this July. If you are interested in seeking endorsement from us, please email the CEO to let her know and be added to our growing list of candidates. The details and application information for the Tigard Small Business Sustainability Fund can be found on our website. We currently have 8 applications pending. Only 3 have been completed with supporting documentation and submitted. Megan did meet with Steve and Councilor Shaw about relaxing some of the requirements and is going to report back next month about those changes. State of business, building and sustaining a thriving workforce presented by Umpqua Bank is going to be held September 25th, 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at Broadway Rose Theater Company. We have a keynote speaker, a panel of speakers for a lively Q&A regarding workforce sustainability and an expo with booths for both members and non-members alike, who can assist you in your business with workforce and continuing education needs. There are door prizes and swag. You always got to get the swag. This is an event you're probably not going to want to miss. This is an expanded format, something we've done differently, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this one rolls out. This is going to be good. The Tigard Farmers Market, full swing, Sundays 9 a.m. to 1:30, Universal Plaza in downtown Tigard off of Burnham. Hosted over 130 businesses for multi-chamber networking at the Festival of Balloons. Shout out again for the Parks people for allowing that event and helping facilitate it with the Portland Rose Festival Association. It is a great community event, and it's a great way to show off our business community to other businesses in the area. For networking, just check the chamber calendar for details. Good Morning Tigard, Thursday a.m., 7:30 weekly. You have time in your calendar. Heritage Bank, ribbon cutting, July 25th, 4 p.m. We invite anyone who's interested in supporting local business to come out and participate. And finally, please follow, if you aren't already, the Tigard Chamber on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook for the most up-to-date information and what's going on in the chamber real time and all our events. It's how I find out about a lot of things, so I would encourage you to do it too. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you so much, Tom.
All right, have a good evening.
The next item on our agenda is our police chief update with our Tigard Police Chief McDonald. Welcome. And congratulations again on your official swearing in as our police chief.
Thank you, Mayor. And Mayor, Council, and welcome, Councilor Schlack. It's the first opportunity I've had to be here in a meeting with you, or your first meeting, and so we get to do it on the first night. So I'm reporting on a few things this evening, so bear with me a little bit. I've got the dashboard from June, and then we're also going to talk about the Measure 110 reforms, and then, of course, the 4th of July. That's always everyone's favorite topic. So what I'd like to highlight is just how the year is looking so far. Halfway through the year in terms of the crime statistics, and we're kind of across the board. Some areas are up and some areas are down. And there really is no method to the madness. The one area I do want to point out that's down 42% for the year is unauthorized use of motor vehicle, which is stolen cars being stolen. And that's a pretty big drop. And that is largely associated with some work that's been done in Portland and Multnomah County as a whole, with some theft rings that were actually targeting stealing cars. And they did a big investigation, and it was late last year when that all came to fruition. And we are actually seeing the impacts of that drastically even here in Tigard. So I think that it's important to understand the work across jurisdictional lines and how important that is to the work that we do. And even a case that we didn't necessarily have direct work with has had a direct impact on the city of Tigard. So that's why some of those regional partnerships that we talk about are so critical, is you end up seeing an impact like that. And then the other one that probably catches your attention is the organized retail theft that's up 336%. And that goes back as a reminder, there was a law change that took effect January 1st. It made businesses much more likely to reach out to law enforcement and report these thefts when there's this type of criminal activity. Organized retail theft is when groups of people go in, they specifically target retail, typically retail establishments, and commit thefts. And it's usually large-scale thefts, and we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. And so Oregon made a legal change that really made it more beneficial for businesses to actually report those. So it isn't necessarily that there's 338% more organized retail theft going on, it's just that businesses are much more likely to actually report it to us. And our commercial crimes unit works those all the time. And they're not working any more today than they were a year ago. They're working still just as many. It's just that they're actually getting reported more. So we're seeing better reporting of the actual data, of the actual statistics. And then on the arrest data, we actually finally have that link working for the first time this year. So we had to work with our records management provider, and they were actually able to finally get the reporting, the data feedback part of the reporting system up and running for us. And so finally, we are back to being able to have that data for us as well as for all of you. And before we move on to the next slide, are there any questions on the data here tonight? Okay, so moving on to the next slide, please. I'll talk a little bit about the Measure 110 reforms, otherwise known as House Bill 4002, which is what the legislature passed during the short session earlier this year. Some folks are referring to it as recriminalization of controlled substances, or what we're really calling it here in Washington County, and this is the intent behind it from the legislature, is deflection. What it does is the new law creates an unclassified misdemeanor for possession of a controlled substance. And what that does is it provides a couple of tools for, one, the officer, but more importantly for this deflection program that's being developed in the county. There's some excellent models across the state. Marion County specifically is one that a lot of counties in the state are trying to use as a model, where they actually have people who have been addicted to drugs that are advocates, or they call them navigators down there, that they connect with somebody that an officer or deputy has had contact with on the street. At that point, the law enforcement portion of it discontinues. They're connected with a navigator, someone who's a peer, someone who's experienced the same types of issues with addiction that maybe this person is experiencing. Law enforcement can then be almost completely removed. If a person then follows through with this deflection program, whatever it's designed to be, and it's going to be dependent upon each individual, because it's not going to be a cookie cutter program. It's going to be designed for the individual and the struggles that they're facing in their lives. If they follow through with that, the court piece goes completely away. The possession of a controlled substance piece goes completely away. If they don't engage or they have troubles with it, they'll be given additional opportunities. They may not necessarily go directly into the criminal justice system. What we're doing in Washington County to start is a little bit different than what the Marion County model is. Marion County's model lives under the sheriff's office, actually. Their navigators are actually employees of the Marion County Sheriff's Office. It works very well down there, but their program has been in place for a long time. It predates Measure 110. So they've been working on it, and they have this model that's really effective. In the time frame that we've been given to put this together, it's really difficult to actually hire them to work for the county. So what Washington County is doing is a lot of local providers have already gotten money out of the Measure 110 money that's been provided, and they already have addiction services set up. They have people that are specialists, that are experts, that are working for them already. Washington County is working on identifying and doing contracts with service providers in each community. And one of the things I'm most focused on is making sure that Tigard has a seat at that table, that we actually have navigators in this community that can help the people that we're contacting or will be contacting daily when after September 1st, which is when the law takes effect. I feel like that's the best route to go at this point, because the county just can't get that infrastructure in place in that time. But we have service providers that already have it, and they have some money. There is more money coming to them that'll be able to support these programs. They'll be able to hire additional staff to be able to do it. So they're going to be able to help to provide that. So we're in the process of identifying, it sounds like we're going to have 2 different providers in Tigard that are actually based here that we'll be able to liaison with them to get those navigators, the gold standard is what we'll call it, out on the scene when an officer has contact with the person. If that can't happen, then we're going to get the best information we can, and a navigator will be following up probably the very next day, if not that day, with someone, so that we can help to get them into the deflection program, get them into addiction services, and not into the criminal justice system. That's the intent of the legislature with HB 4002, and so that's how we're trying to proceed with that here in Washington County. So still developing, but it's well along its way, and it does look like we'll have everything in place for the September 1st kickoff. The real important piece is trying to make sure that we have a provider here in Tigard, so we don't have to wait for somebody to come from Beaverton or Lower or Hillsboro to help try and do that, because the reality is they need to be there within 15 minutes, or we're not going to be able to stay there with the person. It could become an unreasonable detention time. If somebody wants to leave, we need to be able to let them leave. So trying to get someone to stay there so we can get them someone that can help them with their addiction problem is what we're trying to do. And having someone that's got that close, quick accessibility is really important. So I'll give more updates as we have that stuff put into place, but it's well along its way, and it looks very good. The undersheriff and I had a conversation about this last week, and what's going to be developed across the county and how things are coming together. And it sounds like contracts are really just about ready to be signed with many of the providers across the county. So are there any questions on where we're at with the Measure 110 reforms at this point?
Thank you, Chief, for the update, and it's great to hear. It's moving forward, and we're looking at that September 1st target date. So my only question is for Washington County, are there kind of those measures of success or those check-in points to see, the immediate connection, but the follow-through and then the continuation that those individuals are on a path to hopefully find success in their personal lives? So I was just curious about those conversations. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Councilor Wolf. Yes, there is conversations about that. And in conversations that I've had with the district attorney, we recognize that people that are struggling with addiction, it's not a one-time thing. They may have several times before they find that success in recovery. So the criminal justice system is not going to intervene if someone goes down deflection, they relapse, and then all of a sudden find themselves back in getting contacted again in possession of a controlled substance. So there will be some guardrails put on it, but it's not going to be like a hard set rule, like, oh, if you have 3 times in X amount of days, this is what's going to happen. They really are trying to come at it from that empathetic direction and have something that works for the individual, because we know every individual is different. And when they struggle with addiction, some people may be successful their first or second time. Some people, it may take 10 interventions before they actually start to find success. Some may never find that success. And that's something that is recognized. And Marion County's program sees that too. And they also, the navigators also, and I've actually talked with one of the navigators, and he said, I can almost tell you when somebody's going to be successful in a deflection program, and I can almost tell you exactly how many times it's going to take intervening with that individual before they're going to be successful, if they're successful. And he also said, sometimes the only intervention that's going to be successful is sending them to jail. That's what worked for him, is what he told me. It's the only thing that worked for me, he said, he said I needed a nudge from the judge, is what he said. And he went to jail, and he said that's what got him clean. He said what kept him clean was having a child, but he said it took going to jail in order for him to realize this is what it's going to take. So it's going to be situational. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm just curious, for us to reach this gold standard where the navigator will be on scene immediately after initial officer contact, do you have any idea how many navigator we'll need for a city like Tiger?
Probably 4. Now, that doesn't mean that they're on working 24 hours a day, right? It just means that there would be accessibility to 4 of them. So they would probably have another responsibility as well. They wouldn't just be out doing the navigator work, which is where the difference between what Washington County is and what Marion County is doing. So there is a little bit to be worked out with that, but there's probably, and when I say 4, that would be covering like Tiger, Tualatin, Sherwood, King City, so kind of the south end of the county, having that accessibility so that we could reach out to someone. And so sometimes they're going to be on call. They may be responding from home. It could be in the evening or overnight, and they'll be responding from home. So that 15-minute response time is not realistic. But that's the gold standard. That's where we're working towards. And at the outset, that's probably not likely that we'll have 24-hour access to 15-minute response time. But That's the goal to get to, so that you would be able to, that an officer could say, hey, I need a navigator, whatever that looks like. Hey, I need a navigator. Ideally, they're going to be on our radio, right? The officer will be able to get on the radio. Hey, this is my location. I need a navigator. A navigator will respond, come to that location. When the navigator arrives, the police officer leaves, and now the navigator gets to do their work, because the idea is it's no longer a law enforcement issue. It's now treating that addiction. So that's, to get to the gold standard where it's like that all the time, it's going to take a few steps, but that's what we're shooting for.
What are the check-in points along the way, knowing with us and sort of with the county on whether or not the way that we're rolling it out is working?
Well, we're going to be doing it every 30 days. At the law enforcement leadership level, we're going to be having that conversation every month. We have a meeting every month, and it's a topic that we've been talking about since the law passed, and it's something we're going to be doing regular monthly check-ins. That'll allow us to be able to pivot if we need to at the leadership level, and I'm happy to report back as it continues to develop, and especially if we end up needing to make changes, if there are significant changes. But as it stands right now, I think that's probably going to be an effective way to do it, is to have those 30-day check-ins to see if we're meeting what the expectations are. And of course, the county is going to have a whole different setup, because Washington County is going to be the ones administering the overarching contracts on this. So having that touch point of being able to check in with them once every 30 days, I think is going to be critical for us, especially here on the south end of the county. Often, as you all know, we kind of get forgotten when we're talking about Hillsborough and Beaverton and maybe, excuse me, some of the unincorporated parts of the county. So that's where I really want to advocate for us, and I think that's why this program that's being set up is going to be the most effective for Tigard. Anything else on that? We can go on to fireworks then.
Ending with a bang?
Ending with a bang. There you go, Mayor. Next slide, please. So that is a little smaller than I hoped it to be, but what I did want to highlight is that the calls for service, so 2024 is on the left, and it says 23 calls for service for fireworks calls, which is, if you go back to 2017, and the reason we can't go back further than 2017 is that's when we got a new CAD system. So anything prior to that, we don't have that specific data in terms of what we were dispatched to. So 23 calls, and that's for July 4th alone. Down significantly. Does that mean we had less fireworks? No, I certainly don't believe that's the case. I was down at the high school, like many of you, if not all of you, on the 4th, and there was plenty of fireworks going off around. In fact, I went around myself to the front of the high school because I thought somebody was launching them off from the front parking lot, which was not the case. But even still, it's our busiest day of the year. So, in fact, if you saw, I don't know if you saw the fire engines leave right as the drone show was getting ready to go, or actually even one left during it. They had 2 fire calls that came out at that time. One of which was one that was started by fireworks that we actually have under investigation right now. So officers responded to that, worked that. It nearly caught 2 homes on fire. The quick action by a neighbor actually is probably what saved the houses. They were able to get there and put a hose on it till the fire department arrived and were able to use their big equipment on it. And then there was an additional fire call as well that was completely unrelated to fireworks, but we went because chances were it was going to be fireworks related, but it was not. And then during that same time, we had a vehicle crash, and then an officer made a traffic stop for DUI and then ended up in a DUI investigation. So in addition to fireworks calls, we end up getting the other stuff that keeps us busy. So the lower right graph, which is, I know, incredibly small, but you can kind of tell. So those are the times of day, and where the little blip is on the left, that's midnight to 1 a.m. There was one call at midnight on the 4th, so going from the 3rd into the 4th. And then at 5 o'clock and at 6 o'clock, we had 1 call each of fireworks. And then there was nothing at 7. You see there was 1 call at 8, and then it skyrockets at 9, 10, and 11. So as you can imagine, all those calls come in at one time or in a very close succession. So it makes it difficult for us to be able to respond to get to all of those calls, especially while it's happening. And then throw a couple of fires on top of it, a DUI investigation and a car crash, and then it taps the resources relatively quickly. I would like to say, though, that the drone show was a fabulous success. We planned for about half as many people as were there. So we learned with that. Traffic was less than ideal. We used a traffic plan the same as the last few years, and we're going to adjust that for next year if we were thinking we're going to have anywhere near this many people. It was a painful traffic for probably about an hour, and then things started to dissipate. But it was horrible for a period of time. But I think that's a testament to the fact that the event was well attended. So, and I feel confident saying it was probably twice as many people than what we had actually planned for. So, we'll plan for a much larger group next year if this is something that is going to continue forward. But anyway, I'd be happy to take any questions about fireworks. I guess I could hit the other graph that's up there. The pie chart that's on the lower left is the 5 different districts in the city. And the one with the most highest percentage of calls, 44% of the calls, is District 4, which is basically Summer Lake Park area in that neighborhood. Not surprising to me, that's very common that part of town. So say Summer Lake Park down to Shoals Ferry, then North Dakota down towards like Tiedemann, and that area is what's our 4 district. And actually that's where that district is where the fire was that we're working with TVF&R on, that's under investigation at this point. So.
Thank you. Questions, comments, other than I think, heard a lot of complaints about trying to get out, so excited to have a better traffic plan for next year. And I'm sure we'll hear more about the event with the city attorney or city manager report. Are there any questions in regards to fireworks? I would say, I think, personally speaking, it was probably the loudest and longest I've heard. I didn't hear a whole lot before the 4th or after the 4th, but the night of the 4th just kept going to the point where, we got to bed at around 11 and my child goes, "Mama, can they stop?" And I was like, I can't control it. So it's interesting to me that, the calls didn't come in, but maybe they were less bothersome to other people or they just didn't call.
Yeah, Mayor, I think that people probably just didn't call, because in my observations on the 4th, there were as many fireworks as we've had, illegal fireworks, I should say, as we've seen in years past. Yeah.
Okay. And, I will point out that illegal fireworks are illegal, and, I received several complaints that the council saw my responses on, and several people even acknowledged, what are you going to do about illegal fireworks? It's like, I wish I could do something personally. I can't make the state of Washington stop selling to Oregonians. I can't make people follow the law. We can do what we can to encourage legal, responsible behavior, and we will continue to do that and look at different options. This council is always open to continuing to look. But it's, our police department, we bring in mandatory overtime. Everybody knows that they don't get to get this off, and everyone works really hard. They're keeping us safe on the streets. They're keeping us safe at the event that made us all a little nervous because we were all packed in there. Our police department worked incredibly hard on the 4th, and it's not a testament to them not being able to catch illegal fireworks that they're not working hard, even though I know our community sometimes can feel like that. So.
Yeah, and if I may, Mayor, I was talking with one officer. He was pretty frustrated because he showed up in a cul-de-sac and he was going to one of the fireworks calls, and he knew that he was able to figure out where they were being launched from. And the neighbor that called in didn't know exactly where it was, gave a general area. He pulled in knowing that that's where they were being launched from, and there was like 4 houses there with people out there. They were launching them from the intersection or from the middle of the street. And nobody was going to claim that they were responsible for them. Everybody was there to enjoy their illegal fireworks display. And he was super frustrated because he wasn't able to identify who it was that was launching them off. And so he gave his admonition, hey, these are illegal. You can't launch these off. And He left and tried to wait around the corner and then got a call to go to something else, and wasn't able to wait. So I don't know if he doesn't know either if the fireworks stopped at that time. But he said it was pretty frustrating because he showed up and everybody in the cul-de-sac was standing out there watching, and he was unable to do any enforcement because he couldn't figure out who was launching them or where they actually were coming from when he pulled up. So hopefully he curbed the behavior and the folks won't partake in illegal fireworks next year. So anyway.
That would just make me scream into the void. Any other additional comments or questions regarding fireworks or anything?
Maybe next year the drones all just go out and take shots. That's the parting picture. Sorry.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor.
We did receive 2 written public comments by noon yesterday. One was from Trevor Stone in regards to the City Drone Show, and one was from Debbie Rubottom in regards to illegal fireworks. We do have 2 people signed up in person, and I'm going to ask Mr. Wolds, can you bring up the timer for 2 minutes so we can have that available for them? Excellent. The first person is Dave Knowles. Please come on up. You have 2 minutes to speak, and the timer will start when you get started. Welcome to City Council. You'll just want to make sure that the microphone is on. There's a button at the front that turns green. Excellent.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Dave Knowles. I live at 10630 Southwest Park Street here in Tigard. I want to continue the discussion about the illegal fireworks. This year was, in my mind, exponentially worse than any year in the past. As the chief said, there was only 23 calls. I should have called, but I knew that the police were so busy, I would be wasting my time. So I'm not sure what can be done to curb the illegal fireworks that are currently, being exposed. I think maybe some people were upset because there was a drone show. And it's like, I want fireworks. And, so they went up to Washington and bought their own and did their own little shows in their cul-de-sacs and neighborhoods. There was a house about 3 houses down from us on 107th that had a great show, but the problem is there's houses, there's trees, there's everything that can go up in smoke, and it's going to happen. There's going to be more than 2 fires with all this stuff. So I don't know what can be done. I'm willing to be part of a discussion with the police, with you guys, with whoever needs to be, but as a city, we need to do something to curb this, whether it's shaming our neighbors into, not doing this, or, some sort of a task force that, people can go out and videotape these people, or, something that can be, some responsibility and some enforcement. So, like I say, my name and number is, you have. I'm, like I say, I'm totally willing to be part of a discussion, part of a solution. But I think we just need to get more of a conversation than just, like I say, I know the police are so busy, they don't have the time or the manpower. So, but anyway, I would be glad to hear from you or anyone, whether it's the police or whatever, and start some discussion, see what we can do.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles.
Okay, thank you.
We have Luann Tilkey. Welcome, Luann. Come on up. You'll just need to turn the microphone back on.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and congratulations. It was nice to see you sworn in. I'm here about the 4th of July too, but with a little different, yes, the illegals were loud, and I don't think they're all probably in Tigard. I think some might just be in the outskirts. But I'm here about the drone show. We have spent our 24th 4th of July in our home in Summerfield. And all but about 2 years, we've had people over, and then they could watch the fireworks. We always have people come and sit on the golf course to watch. I'm sure there are other areas where people watch fireworks. You could not see the drones. So I think if everybody came, you wouldn't have room for everybody. And I think that either the drones have to be higher, or we need to go back to fireworks, or not do anything. There were a lot of dissatisfied people and young families. So that was my comment. I don't know what to say, because I think what I saw on the news, the 2 drones were beautiful, but nobody could see them, and there were a lot of disappointed people right down below us. And I've heard from others that there were too, so that's just my comment. I don't have a solution. I'd like the last person, I'd work with you on it, but I think you probably know more about it than than I do. But it wasn't satisfactory for the majority of your residents. Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Mr. Wold, are there any phone callers in the queue or anyone wishing to testify by video this evening?
Mayor, there are no callers in the queue, no requests for video comment.
Okay, thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, members of the community, and my teammates. I want to start by welcoming and congratulating our new counselor and our youth counselor. Welcome aboard. We appreciate it. On behalf of the 360 teammates that work here, we look forward to supporting you, working with you, and providing you excellent work as we serve this community. So welcome aboard again. I also just want to say one more time, congrats to our recently sworn in Chief McDonald. Appreciate it. It's nice to see his family, friends, and colleagues here earlier today to celebrate that with us. Just a few thanks. The first is the 4th of July, so let's keep that theme going. I do want to thank the many different teammates, community members that have been involved in many of the different activities that day, but specifically at the high school. That's been referenced today. The community celebration that Ron Royce has put on for 38 years, as we all know. It was Ron's final year supporting that event, so just a huge kudos to Ron for 38 years. Is pretty impressive. Ron volunteering his time to make sure that our community has a place to go to see previously fireworks, the drone show this year. And as importantly, I think the celebration that happens during that, and the dance party and all the things that people were enjoying at the high school. Also, thanks to the team, Leandro, Joanne, for her initial work and really researching it, as well as other community members. We also had a great deal of events, as you know, in June. We talked about Juneteenth previously, which was a success. We also had our Pride celebration, so thanks to many of you, as well as our team, our colleagues at TTSD and many others for participating in that and celebrating with our community. Also want to thank our library, our CERT team, our emergency management and others, our facilities team for opening our cooling center and cooling place at the library. We have had some good use this week, and so we'll have some numbers to share with you. But people have taken advantage of it with the hot temperatures. So it takes the team to come together and make sure that we have all the logistics and the support there. And so just kudos to all of them. And then I think Caitlin's left, but starting my career in Parks and Recreation for the first half of it, it's always nice to proclaim July as Park and Recreation Month and all the great things that happen in communities across this country, including Tigard. So that concludes my remarks. Thanks again.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the city manager? Okay. Seeing none, the next item is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is used for routine items, including minutes and approval of contracts or intergovernmental agreements. Information on each item is available on the city's website in the packet for this meeting. Items may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion, or a counselor may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Tonight on our consent agenda, we have a resolution to appoint a municipal judge pro tempore and the Southwest North Dakota street storm improvements. Are there any questions or a motion on the consent agenda?
Mayor Lube, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda is passed by unanimous vote of the council. We don't have any non-agenda items this evening, but the city council will go into executive session to consult with counsel considering the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed under ORS 192-6602H. All discussions are confidential and those present may disclose nothing from the session. Representatives of the news media are allowed to attend executive sessions as provided by ORS 192-6604, but must not disclose any information discussed. No executive session may be held for the purpose of taking any final action or making any final decision. Executive sessions are closed to the public. The City Council will adjourn immediately after the executive session. And congratulations to our Youth Council, Minany, and our Councilor Schlack on your first successful council meeting. Thank you, everyone, and good night, Tigard.